The main drivers of Nigeria's economy met with the Finance Committee of the National Assembly yesterday and declared that the ailing economy was getting revitalized based on emerging indicators. The Group Executive Officer of NNPCL, Mele Kyari, has said the Port Harcourt refinery would start production by early next month, August, which will be followed by the one in Warri months after, and Kaduna refinery latest by December of this year, 2024. In a related development, the federal government has announced the immediate dispatch of a total of 740 lorry loads of rice to the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, to cushion the effect of food shortage across the country. Rice State House correspondent Adesua Omoran reports.
Nigeria's food inflation rate has reached a staggering 40.87% in June of 2024, the highest level in nearly 3 decades. The surge in food prices has deepened the country's cost of living crisis, leaving millions of Nigerians struggling to afford basic meals. These hikes are primarily attributed to disruptions in supply chains due to insecurity, increasing transportation costs, and the depreciating value of the naira. In response, the government has suspended taxes on key food imports such as wheat and maize for 150 days, aiming to increase supply and stabilize prices. Also, President Bola Tinubu has directed his economic team to develop a 2 trillion naira stabilization package to address food availability and affordability concerns. Today, the Federal Executive Council has now announced additional measures to alleviate the current food shortage crisis. These measures include the distribution of 740 trucks of rice across the country to support the most vulnerable populations.
The Minister of Agric had earlier been directed to ensure that food is being made available to Nigerians, and the understanding is that about 20 trucks of rice has already been supplied to each of the states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. Each of the trucks, of course, is carrying about 1,200 bags of 25 kg rice.
The minister speaks on concerns regarding the proposed distribution process.
The federal government also wants to appeal to the subnationals to ensure effective distribution of these food items so that those that are most vulnerable have access to this commodity. That is the principle behind this thinking originally.
The council also discussed expediting compressed natural gas conversion kits and centers. It comes after the administration's promise nearly a year ago to roll out CNG-powered vehicles to diversify energy sources and reduce transportation costs following the removal of fuel subsidies.
We know that this is taking a while, but you also know that some of these buses and some of these conversion kits are not just things that you get off the shelf. They take time to import or take time to put together. Procurement processes are there because whatever we do have to be in conformity with what our procurement laws lay down.
In addition, the push for a new national minimum wage may come to a head this week as Labour representatives are set to meet again with President Tinubu. The outcome could lead to a new bill being presented to the National Assembly.
And government has directed the Ministry of Budget to also come up with additional support for the 2024 budget, so that any differential or any gaps that there will exist in terms of what existed before the 2024 budget was approved, and the supplementary budget, and also what the requirement is for now. Let me also say that the President is also open to meeting the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, and all their affiliates. We expect that meeting to hold this coming Thursday.
The distribution of rice trucks to states is considered a necessary first step by the federal government. Now, many Nigerians will be hopeful that this distribution avoid the pitfalls of past palliative measures, which sometimes are diverted or left to rot in warehouses across the country. From the presidential villa, Adesua Omoruan, Arise News.
Thank you, Adesua. Rufai, your take on this story. A number of things, a number of updates following the FEC FEC meeting yesterday. And of course, the state of the economy and the fact that the economy is on its way to recovery. Your take on this story.
So we all want the economy to recover. And that's why when they say they're doing everything, they're assuring Nigerians, we pray it happens. Because I just want to come here and punch my hand in the air and say, yes, we're having growth again. We're having good economy again. People are getting jobs and things like that. But sadly, that's not the case now. A couple of things they've talked about. Yes, I agree with some. The distribution of palliatives of some sort across the 6 states, welcome development. But you see, my quibble is how we do it. And in the past, we remember the days of COVID, what we did with palliative. Hope some people will not go and store it in warehouse. Hope some people will not hoard Indomie, like Mr. Falana fondly asked then. And have we properly looked at how much we're going to lose to inefficiencies? Probably our benchmark it about 30% will be lost to inefficiency. Another 30% of that food will be lost to cronyism and politics. So it dared one gets to people. It's a very good measure. I thought Better Edu said there was a mapping system of people's home addresses via Google Maps already. By now, if we're truly serious, we should be able to have the coordinates of the homes, like Better Edu said, and the suspended humanitarian minister. So we should just drop it to people's homes. Because we see, when palliatives like this are shared, they don't call people to a grand place to share. They drop it in front of people's homes. But the question again is, in a country where you don't have a proper numbering system, how is that going to be? So it's a welcome move. I like it to, at least to cushion the effect. But I think the better move will be, how can government also infiltrate the middleman system? How can they do that? With providing storage, opening the storage facilities again to be able to store food so that they can have food out. And also go back to their initial plan of cultivating 150,000 hectares across the state and having our all-year season-round farming mechanism to be able to create food. I think those are the long-term solutions. As regards the NNPC saying what they're saying, I'm happy because they told us the Port Harcourt refinery was going to start work, at the end of last year, but it didn't happen. So if they are saying in August, we're looking forward to that. Hopefully, if we can have that and Warri to also kicks off, then definitely we'll be able to have some leeway on that. And as regards the general revitalization of the economy, it's going to be incumbent on how we can help a lot of small businesses. I'd love to talk more on this, but I have to yield the floor because of time.
All right, Dr. Batim.
Okay. Inflation in Nigeria at this moment, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, in the inflation figures that that body has released for the month of June, is now 34.19%. Food inflation is now 40.57%. And the number is even higher in some states of the Federation. Therefore, I think it is most appropriate and fitting that, the Finance Committee of the National Assembly decided yesterday to invite to a meeting the key figures in the critical sectors of the economy. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, the Minister of Budget Planning, Atiku Bagudu, the Minister of Petroleum, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokubiri, and some other key officials of government, Minister of Information, and also, who else was there? The Zakadedeji was there, of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, NNPC Limited Managing Director, CEO, Group CEO, Mele Kyari was also there. And he provided members of the National Assembly an opportunity to take a look at key things within the economy. However, before I begin to go into the details of the various submissions, I think that the summary of it all is that these ministers of the Federal Republic went there to again restate this renewed hope initiative within the economy. Now, hope is a very good thing. That's why, hope is so infectious that even the First Lady, Mrs. Remi Tinubu, is doing home gardening and telling all of us to go into gardening. But the problem with hope is that it must produce concrete results. 1 year after that this administration has been in power, they are again telling us about hope. Now, hope is a good thing, but it can lead to depression if it doesn't bring results. Now that inflation is at 34.19% and food inflation is over 40%, very soon we may begin to have symptoms of mass neurosis if it is not yet the case within the national psyche. Now to the details of what they said. Now, Minister Idris said national minimum wage, new national minimum wage will be accommodated in the 2024 budget. Well, that's a no-brainer. If government decides to, increase the national minimum wage, the budget will have to be reconsidered. The big issue there is where will the money come from? Now, Mr. Engineer Mele Kyari of the NNPC said the Port Harcourt refinery will be ready in August. That one is technically completed, we have been told. The Warri refinery in September, and then by December, maybe the Kaduna refinery, and Nigeria will be a net exporter of petroleum products. Well, I don't know what Engineer Kyari knows that we do not know. That is the basis of his confidence and optimism. Because we were in the same country when Senator Lokpobiri told us that the refineries will be ready by so time. Those refineries, we have been told they will be ready many times. They are not yet ready. Now, I think it was also the Minister of Minister of Information, Minister Idris, who told us that 740 lorry loads of bags of rice, 50 kg, 1,200 in each truck to 740, 740 trucks. Now we have been told those bags, they are 50 kg. I hope that the state governments will not play monkey business with our rice. But the other issue, of course, is this sustainable? Is this a response to the food crisis that we have in the country? In the Bible, in Genesis, in the book of Genesis, chapter 41, and in the book of Genesis, chapter 47, verses 21 to 37, we were told about how Joseph in the Bible predicted 7 years of famine and 7 years of food grains, and how he became the minister that managed it. Okay, has enough thought gone into this by the Nigerian government, as we saw in the Egypt of the time of Joseph the dreamer? Are they dreaming like Joseph? Would they translate it into reality? And more importantly, I hope this will not end up as COVID-19 palliatives, where people were beginning to sell palliatives meant for the people, and that this will not be distributed on a partisan basis. It's not only APC people that are hungry in Nigeria. All of us are in it. It's not only APC. So those governors must account for 50 kg. They must not carry the bags and begin to redistribute. And then the other day, Senate President was saying senators were also given bags of rice. House of Reps should give. Look, they must not go and sell those bags of rice, because we have been informed. The federal government has told us, and those things must get to us. Well, finally, Mr. Kyari, Engineer Kyari, says we will produce 2 million barrels of crude oil by December. How is he so sure? That's why I say he probably knows something that the rest of us do not know. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
They said it's 25 kg, not 50 kg.
No, I had
no, this one I just reported.
Mr. Idris.
I said 25
This
kg.
day report was actually 25 kg.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, but Mr. Idris, I thought I had 50 kg. But whether it's 25 or 50 kg, they must deliver. And it must not only go to the houses of APC members.
All right.
This is the issue here.
All right, these are the issues. Very quickly, let me start with the revitalization of the economy, especially what the GMD of the NNPCL said. And the reason why we must question that is because when timelines are given, so what he said is that between August and December of this year, at least the Port Harcourt, Warrior and Kaduna refineries will be working and reproducing. But we're told the same thing last year, and it would be good before he's able to give us new timelines and deadlines to ask or for him to explain why they were unable to meet the previous deadline. I think it's important so that we don't keep getting promises like this without an explanation as to why previous promises weren't kept. I think Nigerians, he owes Nigerians an explanation as to why the previous deadline set wasn't possible. It would then help to engender trust, because when numbers like this or deadlines like this are released, the question is, can we trust your word? If in the past you said it, no explanation was given, we must hold people to account. We must hold, when people make words, come for interviews, it's not just mere rhetoric. They are held in a position of trust, and they must be able to defend reasons why we're not able to meet their timelines. I think that's very important. So whilst we're looking ahead to the end of this year with the promises he's made, let him explain to us why the last time it didn't work and why we should trust him this time. Now, moving on to the food supplies. 20 trucks, 1,200 bags is said to be in those trucks. That makes about 24,000 bags of rice, 25 kg each, going through the subnationals to the most vulnerable in society. And very excellent points have been established. One of the criticisms or the conversations have been that we should shine our eyes, let me use that term, on the subnationals. To be fair, I believe that this distribution ought to have been channeled through the local government because they are closer to the people and they know the people more than than subnational level. But this is how they've chosen to do it. Now, a recommendation would be that for many of these states, set up a multi-stakeholder committee that will be responsible for the distribution, bringing together people from the religious background, because they are the people most in touch, traditional rulers, the bales of communities, so that they can come together and distribute these bags of rice. By this doing, we know that people are actually receiving, the most vulnerable people are actually receiving this food, because it would be such a shame for huge numbers of bags of rice to go out and we don't see, there's nothing to show for it. This then brings the question to what is happening with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, because ideally, this is the season for them to actually be on the headlines, speaking to the people, bringing initiatives to cushion the effects of some of the hardships that Nigerians are facing currently. So it would be interesting to find out what's going on there, since the minister has been suspended, in terms of what are the activities going on there. The money budgeted for that ministry, what is happening to it? Who is distributing? Who is managing it? Who is giving oversight of that? A number of things to talk about, but great move by this administration. But usually what is the challenge is the implementation. May the bags of rice get to the tables of those who are most in need and the most vulnerable Nigerians.